David A.R. White, how you doing today?
Well, Billy, every time you're on the other side of this Zoom call, it couldn't be a better day.
Well, look at that. Look at that. I'm glad to bring joy to your life, David. I am. So we actually have another new movie to talk about today, and it's been a little bit since we've chatted. It's Love on the Rock, and this is a film that hits Pure Flix hit Pure Flix on February 1st. Tell me a little bit about the movie. It's a little different from some of the other stuff you've done.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm excited about this movie. You know, it's a mixture between like an Indiana Jones meets maybe a James Bond movie in the midst of romance and intrigue, and then it has this really cool biblical backdrop to it all. And it's about purpose and meaning and where do you fit, in the world that you're living in. And so in February, I can't imagine a better movie to watch that has the best backdrop, because who doesn't want to go to an ocean or a beach and look at beautiful scenery? So
especially in February when it's cold for a lot of us.
I mean, no matter, even when you live in Los Angeles, you're still kind of like, wow, I sure would like to go to a beach.
Well, you guys, I'm sorry, hold on. You guys in Los Angeles, I always laugh because, and I hope I'm not offending any Los Angeles people, but you go and you look, it's like 65 degrees and everybody's in winter coats and scarves. Yeah. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
It's very cold. It's like, it's almost, where it's like in the 60s.
It was -6 the other day. Okay, here. So I don't want to hear about cold. But well, anyway, so it's a beach setting, and you mentioned the biblical backdrop. You filmed it in Malta, correct?
Yeah. I mean, if you don't know much about Malta, Malta is, it is this rich biblical history island where Apostle Paul was shipwrecked. Not many people are aware. They're aware of that because they have the island there and they have the statue of Apostle Paul, and it's in the movie and we talk about it. It's cool. But also Peter was there in the cave with Paul. And Luke was there, and Luke wrote, half the New Testament there. And so it is, just the biblical backdrop of that alone, with those apostles, is huge. And I love, obviously, I'm a big believer in purpose and where does it fit into each and every one of our lives and how. And I love that it's in this movie in this fantastic way, with intrigue, with action, with romance, and yet at the very core, what is our purpose in life?
And your character, Colton Riggs, tell us a little bit, like, how would you describe him to us?
Yeah, I mean, the kind of the archetype was the Die Hard movies, Bruce Willis and Die Hard. He was like this. He is Colton is a former Chicago cop that was alienated, and the corruption there, he was kicked out because he wouldn't go along with the corruption, and because of that, he lost everything. He lost his wife, he lost his pension, his dignity, and he just decided to try to escape it all. And he goes to this island of Malta, thinking that he can just get away, not have a purpose anymore, be away from law enforcement. He takes up fishing, and and it would be like as if that was something that I did, and in my life, I'm like, over it. I'm out of Los Angeles. I'm
going to go fish,
and I'm going to run a fishing, a travel boat in the middle of an island somewhere, and then that's what he does. And then all of a sudden, the story, I think, how being in the right place at the right time for such a time as this, Colton Riggs is swept back into this whole, not even just a thing on the island, it affects the whole world. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And so it's funny because he goes there for peace. He's fishing. He thinks he's getting this calm life, and then life does not stay calm for very long, obviously, as people will see in the film. How would you, I love to ask actors this because every character is different. What are the similarities between you, David White, and Colton? Like, what are the things that are similar? What are the differences?
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole if you're I mean, I don't want to say if you're a good actor because people can always everybody has their opinions on it. But if you are I think it's important to always bring yourself into the characters that you're playing, a piece of yourself. And for me, I find that life imitates art in a lot of different ways, um, and or art is imitating my life in a lot of different ways. And when we shot this, it was 2020 in November, right in the middle of the pandemic. We went to Malta because they would have us. We've loved the biblical aspect of it, but also it was really great because they would have us, and we didn't have to do this whole quarantine for 14 days before we could move and shoot, and they shoot Jurassic World. They've shot the last Jurassic World that was shot there. I don't know if all of them have been there, but we came in right after that, and so the crews were amazing, and the experience was we had a whole run of the island. It was an exceptional thing, but how it relates to me is in a lot of ways, I think I was trying to get away from Los Angeles for starters. In the middle of the pandemic, Los Angeles was not the place to be. Uh, I mean, we were shut down every which way, and it was like, a different state or a different country over here. And so, there's part of me that just wanted to escape 2020, escape, I'd gone through some personal issues and different deals. And so, I think that's how it was relatable to me. And I think that's relatable to a lot of people, especially middle-aged people, who are, they say you're going through your middle-aged crisis, maybe. For whatever reason, you're bored at your job, your family's not going well, you've lost a loved one. There's different reasons why we just want to escape our reality at times, and I think that's what Colton Riggs has gone through.
I like that. And it's true. I mean, you look around America, people are moving right now. They're leaving. I live in New York. They're fleeing New York. They're going to other places. People are leaving California. They're looking for, I think the pandemic and the chaos and all of that, it's so relatable. People really do want to find something fresh or new or start over. That's something we can all relate to. So I think that character is a really relatable character for everyone. But I got to ask you about the fact that you're doing these action, and this movie has a lot of different things, as you mentioned. There's romance, there's action, but you had Beckman, right? Now you have this film. This is sort of a newer sort of arena for you. It seems like kind of moving into these different types of movies. Would that be an accurate statement?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. Although I feel like I've done, people are always like action movie, David Ayer White, like this is a whole new thing. And I'm, yes, we have if you could see the God's Not Dead movies behind me, yes, those are I think probably what I'm most notable for. But I've been doing action for quite a while. I mean, we did Mercy Streets. One of my favorite movies was shot in 2000. How many times have I not been raptured, but run around in the apocalyptic world, uh, like a lot, with a lot of action and fighting and guns and everything else. It just has morphed into a different, part of my vision and part of my dream for this genre has always been to expand the genre. I want to be clear. I'm not trying to make because a lot of people's vision and dream is always to make it more mainstream. They want to take faith out or make it more generic, or have like a very light message about God. Um, I yes, in some ways we have done that in different things that we've done, like Malibu Dan, as a sitcom. So obviously, there's not a lot of evangelization going on in Malibu Dan, the Family Man. But I love the idea with Beckman, for example, going into what in the world would it be like if a hitman, what is his relationship to God like? I think that's fascinating. And so I wanted to explore that. And with this movie, I think these movies are so popular. I love to watch these type of movies. My kids get into them. They're adventure. They're like these national treasure type. You learn things along the way, yet you're also involved in intrigue and action. And there's, the fights aren't brutal. They're like, there's certainly, but there's action elements to it. And yet at the same token, then you have the romance side, but it's fun romance. It's not like, we're not doing, like the whatever those Sparks movies are. It's light romance, and so you don't have to feel like, oh no, my child can't watch this. I'm going to have to shield everything. It's fun romance, and I think that's, I don't know, in life, especially in 2020 and everything that this pandemic has brought to us. I feel like a lot of um, I want to bring the element of entertainment escapism in one way, right? You want to take yourself out of the world that you're living in, the heavy world, and you want to go have fun when you sit down and you watch something at night. And to, at the same token, to still be true to what we do is to breathe the faith out, the Holy Spirit. Where does that fit, that relationship to God in the midst of even these other fantastic things that we haven't even touched on? There's never been a movie like Love on the Rock in the faith-based world, or Beckman for that matter.
Yeah.
Or Holy Man Undercover for that matter. Movies that I really actually have a heart for, that they were made with a purpose and a reason behind them. I didn't just wake up one day and think, oh, I'm going to make this stupid movie that, that I might get some, heat, or, people might not 100% agree with. But overall, I think I'd like to believe that in my career and the body of work that I do, that people see that still that love for the Lord and the heart for God in the midst of maybe just a different story, and go along with it. And I'm proud of Beckman. Obviously, it was a tricky deal about the promotion of it, because did it align up with pureflix.com? Did it not? This was a big question. However, it had like almost an 80 some percent finishing rate of people who started watching that movie, which is exceptionally high
It
for
is.
things
Yeah.
in the SVOD, the streaming service, because most people shut it off after 40% or 50. Anytime you get over 50% of people who actually finish something they start is extraordinary. So for that, I'm really proud of them.
Yeah. Well, and I think too that what we're all discovering, and we know this as people who watch things, right? That people want different things. They want different genres. And the fact that this movie, shows you got romance, you've got action, you've got a lot of different things happening. It appeals to a lot of different people in different families, right? So you could sit down and everybody can enjoy something about it. And we're seeing more and more of that with Beckman, that there was a thirst for action. People were telling Pure Flix that they wanted to see that. And again, it reflects what we see happening in movie theaters across the country. What are people going to see? And there's a way to do that storytelling. And I think that you found a great way to bring these themes in and tell it in a compelling way, and that the audience, is reacting to that. So let me ask you this. You've been doing this a long time, and you're not just an actor, you are a writer and a producer, and you do it all. What are some of the big lessons? And I know this is sort of a loaded question, and there's probably a lot of lessons, but what are some of the biggest things you've learned throughout your career in Hollywood?
Wow, yeah. I think the one of the things is that you are enough the way that you were created. And when you think about, well, what would you tell somebody who's coming into this world, or or what did you gather out of it? I'm not saying don't. You need to pursue the gift or the art form, or whatever it is that you want to do, and be excellent at it, right? But know that you don't have to morph yourself into what somebody else is already doing. Like, God created each and every one of us with our own specialty, that no human being is alike any other human being, right? We're all God's creation in a beautiful, unique way. And so I wish that I would have known this early. I mean, I knew it in some ways, but Hollywood is so wants you to morph yourself into, well, this is working, so go do that. But I think my freedom really, really came when I realized that I was enough the way that God had created me to be, with my unique background and story, and to pursue the things that I wanted to, that He put in my heart to pursue. And you know, I mean, that was really, for me, it was the faith-based industry. Like I really had a heart from early on to make Christian faith-based films and to build a genre that really didn't exist, or that was underground. Even, when I started, I mean, I was on when I was 18. I did my first two Christian films as a for Edward McDougall, uh, as an intern in college when I was at Moody Bible Institute. And then I got on Evening Shade when I first came out here at 19. And then I was 22 when I had 21 or 22 when I had done Second Glance and got cast in that was my first lead in a Christian movie, even though it was a short, it was 50 minutes, and I could look back and go, oh, I had bad hair, or, the production was so tiny, and coming from, a hit television show where everybody on that show was an Oscar, Emmy, or Tony winner. And, it was $1 million plus episodes every week on CBS Top 10, to doing this little independent Christian movie. But what I loved about it was, Rich Cristiano. I think the thing that, I call him the Godfather, certainly he was my godfather in the Christian film industry, is that he had a thing for stories, though, and he had, and he was able to do it in a very unique way at that time. And I value that, and I think, and I've been really grateful to take the different things that I've learned over the years and apply them to what we're doing today. And so much that a studio came in and bought Pure Flix, partnered with us, so much that, different studios have been partnering with us for the theatricals that we do, or, the movie Redeeming Love that's out, and so it's like, I'd love to say that it was all, it was all preconceived. It wasn't. I just tried to follow the steps that I believe the Lord was leading me in at the time.
Well, and you guys have done so much. I mean, you've paved the way in Christian filmmaking. There wasn't, before God's Not Dead, when you look at things, and when you look at where we are now from 2014 to now, there's been such a major growth. As you mentioned, a major studio coming in and buying Pure Flix, and all of these different elements that really required a lot of sacrifice. I mean, over the years, you and I have known each other for a while, and I was, really learning your story over the years and all the things you guys went through and sacrifice. It's been pretty incredible to look at all of that and see that picture and see where things are now, which brings me to my last question for you. And this is another, I think, difficult one. Maybe it won't be, but I would find this hard to answer. In 10 years, if you could look ahead, where do you want to be when it comes to your career and the storytelling you do?
Wow, that is a hard, yeah, what you read, like goal-oriented books and everything else, they're like, have that vision and write it down, and, where are you in 5 years, 10 years, 1 month from now? I don't know exactly. I don't know where I want to be in 10 years. A couple things I do hope, though, is I hope that PureFlix continues to grow and spread around the world. And so Netflix is not the only major, obviously there's other streaming video on demand services around the world, but, Netflix really takes that. You can get it in almost any country in the world. And I hope that PureFlix is able to continue its growth in a way that, almost for evangelism, is that we're able to put it in every country in the world, that people are able to see it and see this, our content all over. I mean, we do it in a different way, through the foreign sales team that takes out the theatricals and our movies, one by one. But I would love that service to be there. And then as far as 10 years from now, I don't know. I don't know. I hope that I'm still here, and I hope that I'm still making films, and people haven't grown tired of David A.R. White by then.
They
But
won't. They won't.
and that we continue to just have fresh and innovative ideas that people can go, oh wow, I hadn't seen that before. I'm really taken by that.
That's great. That's a great look ahead for 10 years. That really wasn't hard for you at all. And listen, based on what you've done, I think you will accomplish all of that. And I gotta thank you for coming on today. Everybody who is watching, make sure you check out Love on the Rock on Pure Flix. David, as always, it was great talking to you.
Billy, you're a pleasure, and you're a blessing to us all. So God bless you and thank you.